contact with the crosshead bearing and damage the bearing, so that the bearing can be actually made to operate under boundary conditions of lubrication. That is why this bearing is provided with an extremely smooth surface. Is that clear? Yes. साइड थ्रस्ट इंटरमीडिएट स्टेज नहीं समझ में नहीं आया मुझे. I'm still not getting it. Gas forces are acting on what? That is through the crosshead guides ना. वो तो crosshead shoe और guide के through कर रहा है, तो उसमें क्या problem है? वो तो साइडवर्ड फोर्स है, उसका बेयरिंग के लुब्रिकेशन से क्या रिलेशन है? साइड में you have the guides are arresting, are transferring it. It's not coming onto the crosshead bearing. It's getting transferred onto through the guides. It's coming. अरे connecting rod, my dear, ऐसे समझो ये डाउन. नहीं. No. You have the connecting rod, right? Connecting rod का ये top end है, ये उसका bottom end है, ठीक है? Connecting rod है. अभी connecting rod swing कर रहा है ना? It's swinging on to this side. It's swinging on to this side. ये तो free है ना swing करने के लिए. Of course, connecting rod swing नहीं कर रहा, bottom end swing कर रही है. ये ऐसे move कर रहा है, right? It's moving on like this. ऐसे move कर रहा है. ये तो reciprocate कर रहा है ये वाला part. It's always reciprocating. This part is swinging, moving up and down. So whatever side thrust is coming, that is getting transferred onto those guide shoes. Guide shoes will transfer it to the guides, and through the guide it is getting transferred to the frame, and through the frame it is getting transferred to the tie bolts, to the holding down bolts, to the ship structure. Right? So that is not giving you a problem onto the sides of the bearing. And that is actually, that's a kind of, again, sideward thrust is not very high thrust. It's a low thrust actually, which is getting transferred. It's not high. Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
So, yeah.
Sir, please tell which type of lubrication takes place in crosshead bearing.
It's a combination.
Actually, sir, in MAM, we're told that hydrostatic lubrication takes place in crosshead bearing this semester.
It's a combination of lubrication which will be taking place. I'll come to that. Don't worry. Let me complete my flow and then I'll come to that. So crosshead bearing, effective cooling is ensured by transverse or circumferential grooves. I'll come to that also. I'll show you the drawing and I'll explain to you. An embedded arc geometry of lower shell over 120-degree arc ensures uniform load distribution. Okay, I'll tell you what is that embedded arc geometry, where you don't get a completely circular bearing. That means if I say that it is completely circle, I'll try to draw it. It's difficult to draw with this intuition. So it may not be a completely circular bearing, right? So it will be a geometry where the even distribution of the load is ensured. So you may have a geometry where you get some kind of, ovality to the bearing. Some bearing may be slightly oval in shape, something like this. Okay, so some kind of, and that is not exactly oval. It has got a particular profile which has been researched upon by the makers, and they give that profile to the bearing. Though to my eyes or in your eyes, it may look like that it is circular, but it will not be. and that will be a very, very small, millimetric geometry. You won't be able to find it at all with your eyes. So that is the one, over 120 degrees that arc is given, almost over 120 degrees that arc is given. That ensures that when the load is coming over here, you have a good lubrication. Oil film, you will have some gap over there between the pin and the bearing.
Sir, it will be only at bottom?
Yeah, it will be only at the bottom, because the load is always acting at the bottom. Upper half of the crosshead bearings, they are not loaded. Then some other design features which have been incorporated is that lower shell is coated with an overlayer. I don't know how far you have studied in your bearing, but there is something called as overlay. Overlay padha hoga apne bearing mein. Okay? Overlay or overlayer which is there, that is often put onto the bearing to reduce friction. The main bearing layer is the one which gives strength. Overlayer gives you a reduced friction. So this overlay can give can be provided, which can cause a pin sliding geometry to match. It is a soft surface on the bearing surface, on the bearing metal. So ये soft वाला क्या होगा, when the bearing is actually, when the pin and the bearing, they are mutually coming in contact, it can cause the soft layer to be removed and give the same profile of the bearing as that of the pin, to match the surface geometry in the embedded arc area, that 120 degree arc area which is there. Okay, not centigrade, 120 degree area. So what happens that you will not have highs and lows in the areas where metal to metal contact will take place. This overlay will ensure that they will conform, the surfaces will conform to each other. They will have a same profile. The pin profile will be taken up by the bearing, and they will get proper lubrication.